I wouldn't even be doing this. I'd be in some beautiful place with a gorgeous ocean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
And still I'm here with you fighting like hell to get a Senate.
What's happening?
And to make sure we take back the White House, because if we do, we're going to make America better than ever before. We're going to make it.
Yeah, look.
And it's
There he
not
is.
easy, because we have millions and millions of people in our country that shouldn't be here. Dangerous people, criminals. We have criminals. We have drug dealers. We have people that should not be here. And it's much tougher than it happened. We have the strongest border ever. In recorded history, we're the best border. In fact, if they could ever put up a chart, I don't know if they can do it. Do you guys have access to that chart that I love so much? You don't mind if I go off teleprompter, do you? Because these teleprompters are so damn boring, I try and explain that. Oh, there's it. Wow. You guys are doing it. They're getting better with time. My guys, take a look at that chart. Take a look at the arrow on the bottom. See the big red arrow, right? So that's when I left office. That was the lowest point, and that comes right from the government services, comes right out of Border Patrol. Take a look at that. So that arrow is the lowest amount of illegal immigration ever in recorded history into our country. And then the worst president in the history of our country took over. And look what happened to our country. Probably 20 million people. And you know, that's a little bit over that chart. That chart's a couple of months old, and if you want to really see something that says,
Is this thing on? Good morning, rise and freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show. And soon, we shall not be at the wakeupAmericaShow.com. We shall soon be at the For Liberty Network. That's right. Coming soon. TBD. Glad to have you here. Don't forget, if you're a regular guest and you haven't clicked that like button yet, what's going on? You're slacking? I work so hard. I get up so early for you. Give you best show. Love you long time. Click that like button. If it's your first time watching the Wake Up America show and you like offensive content, click the follow button as well. We'd love to have you come back here and join us in my terrible Chinese impressions. Like Charlie Du Mao. Ni hao ma. The Wake Up America show, Chinese infiltration. I keep getting these mailers from all of the candidates here in the state of Missouri. Speaking of Chinese infiltration, they're all attacking each other over Chinese farmland. I don't know why people are so animated by that topic. It's like there's so much going on in the world right now. Speaking of, we've got a billion clips. There's so much news happening. I can't squeeze it all into 2 hours. Maybe we need to turn the Wake Up America show into a 3-hour show.
Oh, God! No!
Hey, Michael Scott. Not a fan of that idea.
How dare you?
Don't like that. Don't like that very much. A lot of people tune into the Wake Up America show for the first time. And they hear this soundboard and they think, what, that's not a real studio audience. Well, yes, it is. Show them you're real. Come on, guys. So we know Joe Biden's in the house.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to
Excuse me, Willis FX88, good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. We slept the whole night through. Good morning. Good morning to you. Nothing could be grander than to be from Louisiana. Or is it Indiana? I don't remember. Good morning, Courtney Conover. How are we doing? Mighty Megatron, Kermode Bear, looking mighty sexy today. Appreciate everybody joining us here live. I love seeing 122 people just jumping on right up at the top. We've got a lot to discuss. You know me, I'm not big on conspiracy theories, but when a former military sniper and sitting congressman starts asking questions about the assassination that don't add up, it's making me start to go Alex Jones this morning. 1776 will commence again. Stalin took the guns. Mao took the guns. Hitler took the guns. Feeling very Prison Planet this morning, and you will too after you watch this video. I'm leaving all options on the table. I'm not believing any one theory at this point. We need to take time. We need to investigate. I've pulled together some videos that show a timeline and 3D modeling of the event as it happened, which it's incredible that that kind of stuff is already out. We're going to watch that together. We're going to talk about some of the speeches at the Republican National Convention last night, some of the reaction, kind of disgusting reaction to some of the speakers that I've seen online. And we have a couple of great guests today. Unfortunately, Judge Napolitano is out in Italy for the next 2 weeks. Sorry, but I do have an awesome libertarian lawyer to replace him. Jennifer Bukowski, Esquire on Fire, joins us this morning at 8 a.m. Central Time. And she's going to talk to us about the legal case that was dismissed, the Jack Smith legal case of the documents, the classified documents case. Remember when Donald Trump's compound Mar-a-Lago was raided over the classified documents? This was the scariest case against Donald Trump. Some say, some think the Georgia case was worse. But we're going to talk to Jennifer Bukowski about the legal implications of such. And I've got a question for her related to this story that I'm reading this morning about Joe Biden's is he going to pack the courts? This is what I'm reading. President Biden is planning to endorse major changes to the Supreme Court in the coming weeks, including proposals for legislation to establish term limits for the justices and an enforceable ethics codes, according to people who've been briefed on the plans. He's also weighing whether to call for a constitutional amendment to eliminate broad immunity for presidents and other constitutional office holders. So major shift from Biden because he's long been resisting calls to make substantive changes to the Supreme Court. So our guest at 8 a.m. Central Time, Jennifer Bukowski, she's a fellow Mid-Missourian and a libertarian defense attorney, is going to talk to us this morning on the show because when we didn't have the judge, I was like, we need someone who's like judge flavored, but maybe has like a different flavor profile than the judge. I don't know. Why am I talking about what Judge Napolitano tastes like? Kind of weird.
How dare you?
Kind of gross, but for some people, maybe a little sexy. Who knows? Yes. What else have we got for you? 8:30 a.m. Central Time today. We're going to speak to Sarah Higden on the show. I'm really interested to get her take on the controversy. Conservatives are big mad at some of the speakers at the Republican National Convention. One of the speakers is Amber Rose, who is a proud sleut, if you will, and also a performance artist and has an OnlyFans. So social conservatives are really bad about this. But I played the clip for you yesterday that CNN's Van Jones and others were talking about how Amber Rose on the RNC convention stage, he was like, she's way more famous than any of us. And having her on there is like a bunker buster bomb to the Democratic Party this year. I mean, they looked very morose. That's a $5 word, isn't it, Camellia? Sullen, that's like a $2 word. And sardonic, that's like an $8 word there. Thank you. Vocabulary was my strength. And diction is done with the tip of the tongue and the teeth and the lips. We'll talk to Sarah Higden this morning at 8:30 about the Amber Rose controversy and Harmeet Dillon. She is a Sikh American. She gave a prayer while she was talking about Donald Trump yesterday in her traditional Sikh garb, and some very angry white nationalists like Lauren Witzke and others, you know, the blonde hair, blue eyes, Heil Hitler crowd, were very upset about the fact that she was giving a Sikh prayer and blessing Donald Trump and the Republicans. And she was very upset and offended. Pagans, roar! You know, it's the church ladies. Have you guys thought about Satan today, right? Like, so it's very, it's given me church lady vibes, Dana Carvey, 1991 or whatever it was. Dusty old conservatives are mad. The majority aren't. So we're going to talk to Sarah Higden about that at 8:30. And I'm really interested to see what JD Vance does, because I was watching a video with him yesterday, and I think I played a little bit of it yesterday too here on the show, about how he was talking about how he agrees in spirit with what Vivek Ramaswamy and people like us want to do, which is to afuera the whole... Afuera. Sorry, if I say the word again, I gotta hit the button again. Oh God!
How dare you?
Can you bless me with something?
Oh gosh.
Money-wise? Please.
Can you suck it?
What?
If we said the word of the day, so he wants to out all the federal agencies. If we can't, you know what, the federal agencies, then he wants to staff it with right wingers. Okay, so there you go. And I like that. I'm okay with it. What's up, Clementine Diug? We were talking about maybe having you host the show when the baby is born soon. Baby Hazel's either going to be born 2 hours or 2 weeks from now. The final date, Stephanie seems to think she's going to stick around as long as possible, which means that there will actually be no show Thursday morning because they couldn't get us into the hospital that evening. So that means if baby Hazel doesn't come naturally between now and the 1st, then that means that Wednesday, just a little bit of house cleaning stuff. Wednesday, Wednesday the 31st would be the final Wake Up America show. And you know what, guys? I'm thinking about taking a week off. Just because here's the thing, I'm going to have to take care of Steffi. Okay, this is going to be her first time giving birth, and we don't know if she's going to snap back out of it. Right there, I'm just going to try and touch and go. I got some advice yesterday from a guy buddy of mine, and he was saying that he thinks, Austin, you should take a week off so you can take care of your wife because she's really going to be struggling to get into the groove of new things. So it is possible that from the 5th through the 9th there will be no Wake Up America show. Just pretend like I'm on vacation when in reality I'm not vacationing at all. So that's just the situation. And that's where we're at right now. Okay, so what else have we got for you today? Oh my God, there's so many huge stories. I wish I could share them all. Just a couple of big headlines really fast. Elon Musk turbocharges Silicon Valley support for Trump. Republicans were way behind in the money game, and they've come roaring back. So the selection of JD Vance is going to be a big factor in helping to raise a lot of money, which was probably one of the big reasons why Donald Trump brought him on, because of the relationship that JD Vance has with Peter Thiel and many other Silicon Valley investors. Elon Musk even posted on his X account yesterday a long list of names of major Silicon Valley titans who are getting on board with the Trump campaign and are going to be donating hundreds of millions to, I don't know, billions of dollars. He's talking about donating something like $143 million a week, I think, to a Trump super PAC. So incredible stuff. Another Wall Street Journal article that you'll love to see. This is a fascinating read, and I won't be able to read the whole thing, but it's titled How Trump Boosted His Latino and Black Support by Ignoring Party Advice. A decade ago, Republicans thought they could get more diverse by softening on immigration. Trump did the opposite. So demographic change was dooming the GOP. And their plan was to draw in the nation's exploding number of Latinos and minorities and by softening immigration. But instead, Trump took it in a different way, in a different direction. And then after 2 straight losses to Barack Obama, the multiracial coalition and his Obama's multiracial coalition, they thought that they needed to go more, free market and immigration, but that was not the case. Today, Republicans are embracing his get tough immigration policy, and he's bringing in lots of blacks and minorities to the Republican Party just by ignoring what the Republican Party was pushing for, the George W. Bush sort of immigration style policies. So great stuff, interesting conversations. I'm looking forward to talking more about it, but I'm not going to have the time to get to all those stories. It's time to talk about the big news. Real quick, though, before we get to it, just an FYI, this week, the bonus content is mini documentaries that are produced around the history of presidential assassinations, both attempted and successful. We've already produced 2 mini documentaries that you've seen this week about the Ronald Reagan attempt and the James Garfield assassination. If you'd like to see today's mini documentary, don't forget, get those Rumble rants in. Even if you're giving just like $2 or $5, it all adds up pretty quick. Once we hit $60, if we hit it by the end of the show, then that means that you have unlocked today's bonus content. And rather than watching commercials, you get to watch our mini documentary about presidential assassinations. Which one do you guys think it will be? Let's hear some the hiccups. Oh boy, here we go. Let's hear some guesses. This is going to be a great time for me to stop talking and to start playing clips. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. had a little slip. Might not be a good idea to trust this guy with national security secrets after a conversation that he was having with Donald Trump was leaked yesterday. Take a listen to this.
I would love you to do something, and I think it would be so.
He's asking for RFK Jr. to endorse him.
Good for you and so big for you, and we're gonna win. We're gonna win. You know, we're way ahead of the guy, and you know, it's interesting. It was very nice, actually. He called me, and he said, "How did you choose to move to the right?" Just, you know, so I guess that's people say, you know, if I was looking straight up, right? He said, I said, I was just showing a chart. I didn't have to tell him the chart was on all the people pouring into our country, right? But no, I just turned my head to show the chart, and something wrapped me. It felt like a giant, like the world's largest mosquito. And it was a bullet going right. You know, what do they call that, an AR-15 or something? That was a big gun. Those are pretty tough guns, right?
Pretty big gun, pretty tough gun. That's classic Trump there. He doesn't know. Stephanie yesterday was asking, she's like, does Donald Trump not know anything about guns? And I was kind of like, you know, he's lived in New York City most of his life. You know, the guy is in a gun bunny. He doesn't go out there and put on bikinis and, you know, carry AR-15s around. He's just, you know, he's a New Yorker. So no, he's been surrounded by people with guns his whole life. I think he owns like a couple of handguns that he's talked about, but he is not a big gun guy. So yeah, he doesn't know a lot about guns, but he's asking RFK Jr. to endorse him. Apparently RFK Jr. turned him down, which I think is a huge mistake because RFK could have a position in the cabinet or in the administration to some extent. I think that RFK Jr. should do it because what is he doing? He's just wasting his time with this third party run. And he's already saying nice things about Trump, like, come on board, RFK. Now, the conspiracy theorist in me yesterday started to go up. The tinfoil hat came on yesterday when I watched this clip on CNN. Wait until you see how the CNN anchor reported this. This is an 8-minute long clip, and I'm going to be reacting to it, which means that probably for about the next 15 minutes, we're going to be watching this clip and talking about it. But I normally wouldn't play a clip that was this long unless it was so important. But before we do, very briefly, I do want to show you this video that is a map of the Trump shooting. Then we're going to play the CNN clip. Let's get through this right now. This is a great one from the YouTube account Fern. It's already got 2.2 million views, and it's only been up for 17 hours. This is a map, a 3D map of the Trump shooting. Watch this.
It's the 13th of July in Butler, Pennsylvania. Former U.S. President Donald Trump speaks at a rally. It's only days until he plans to accept the official Republican nomination. He's just minutes into his speech when shots are fired.
Take a look at what happened.
Trump got hit, but survived. Someone tried to assassinate him in broad daylight. Here is how it unfolded.
Isn't this amazing that they can make this like so fast?
By the time this video is published, new details might have emerged.
When they have.
It's a hot, sweltering early evening as tens of thousands gather here to see Trump. Pennsylvania is one of 6 vital swing states that will help secure the win in the next presidential election. Butler skews heavily Republican, and it is a blue-collar town.
This is a big crowd. This is a big, beautiful crowd.
He is surrounded by supporters. Most are sitting or standing in front of the stage. Some sit on the bleachers, center, left, and right. Trump support staff and security, including Secret Service agents, are right at the stage. Behind him are 3 large buildings. On the roof of the building on the far left and on the far right are Secret Service snipers.
Okay, so here we have the 2 Secret Service snipers. You can see over here on the left. Can you see my my cursor on the screen or not? Yes, there it is. Okay, so here's where they're posted up. Okay, behind him here and here. Now watch what they said. Watch where this is. It's going to be so ridiculously obvious.
They are constantly scanning the surroundings, looking for threats. They can be seen in this video filmed by a crowd member.
Hello, Butler, and hello to Pennsylvania. I'm thrilled to be back.
Trump begins with his speech. Things seem normal. He turns to the right and points at a chart showing statistics on border crossings. At the same time, several people in the crowd notice a man with a gun on the roof of a building close by.
He's got a gun!
It's too late.
Take a look at what happened.
All of a sudden, bullets start flying. One even gets captured on camera.
Amazing.
Another building, about 400 feet or 120
Amazing.
meters north of the stage. The shots are coming from here, on the roof.
Right there. Look at this. Look how it's so obvious. Right there. How could you not see? And look at the profile there. You know, breaking the line, like sloped roof, man. The whole federal government that wants to run your life and control everything can't even control a simple rooftop right across from where the president's giving a speech.
The gunman is 20-year-old Thomas Matthew Crooks. He is armed with an AR-15 semi-automatic rifle. The gun was legally purchased by his father. First, he apparently fires a round of 3 shots.
Take a look at what happened.
Trump reaches up with his hand. The first bullet pierces the upper part of his right ear.
The first bullet.
He will
hit him.
later say that turning over to the right at that exact moment prevented the bullet from hitting him right in the head. He ducks down behind the podium, and within 3 to 4 seconds after the first shot, Secret Service agents swarm the former president and shield him with their bodies. Crooks opens fire again, immediately, with 5 more shots.
5 more shots.
Right before the first shot by Crooks, one of the snipers on the left roof behind Trump seems to detect the gunman and prepares to return fire.
Take a look at what happened.
Some outlets report that these snipers killed Crooks, while the Secret Service...
Okay, so that was a nice little map of the incident. Now, here's where my tinfoil hat comes out. Okay, this is a U.S. congressman who is a former sniper talking on CNN, and just wait until you see how CNN responds to the questions that this congressman, Corey Mills, is asking. He was a member of the U.S. Army and a member of the 82nd Airborne Division and Joint Special Operations Command. This guy was an operator.
Things, and I look at different videos where an assailant will pull a firearm on a law enforcement officer, and the first thing they do is they immediately pull and draw and mitigate the threat and the risk. You know, I ask why the local law enforcement officer did not do so. The other thing is that when you set up an advance team, I keep hearing this about the perimeter elements.
Yeah.
You know, the perimeter is actually established by your threats that are in the area. So if I don't have any threats outside of 100 yards, okay, fine, I can cordon off a certain area. But if I have a building 160 yards perfectly adjacent to the stage, that's an obvious threat, especially with an elevated position that has overwatch. Mm-hmm. That's a sniper's paradise. And, you know, we talk about Eagle's Nest. You also have, which no one talks about, but the water tower.
So what I'm hearing from you is it's not a failure on the ground for sure, but 100%. Also a failure in advance?
I think it's a failure in advance. I think it's a failure to have the counter snipers to be able to establish their range fin and their sketch maps.
I also heard we've also learned that local snipers were stationed inside that building. At the time.
I haven't heard that piece of it yet, but that doesn't necessarily make sense unless they were actually in a window which was backed off, because a lot of times you'll get yourself in there. Sometimes you expose your rifle in a way to try and do a force protection or a show of force that actually stops things. Others are actually more tactical where they'll sit back a little bit, but a sniper for the law enforcement is only trained to shoot about 75 yards, unlike your counter sniper teams that are on set. But here's my problem. In having done this for so long, they always say the adage of ignorance is bliss, and I think that's true. I've done thousands of advances. I've done thousands of counter sniper operations with our teams in Iraq and Afghanistan, etc. The amount of negligence, the amount of mistakes that was made here, I have a very difficult time not leaning myself towards this was intentional as opposed to fecklessness.
Now watch CNN have a meltdown here. Now, this is a member of the U.S. Army, a veteran who was a sniper. 82nd Airborne Division, Special Operations Command. So an operator and a sniper and a sitting U.S. congressman who says that he's leaning towards this not being an accident. Listen to that again.
Negligence, the amount of mistakes that was made here. Thousands of counter sniper operations with our teams in Iraq and Afghanistan, etc. the amount of negligence, the amount of mistakes that was made here, I have a very difficult time not leaning myself towards this was intentional as opposed to fecklessness.
But wait, talk to me about that. I actually heard you say this right the day after, which I wanted to ask you about. What do you mean intentional?
You know,
I mean an intentional failure on the part of...
No, I wouldn't say an intentional failure on the part of, but I got to just, you know, I sit here and I scratch my head. You don't want to be the conspiracist. You don't want to be the person.
I'm telling you, because that's what it's leaning toward.
No, I know. And that's the issue, is that you walk this fine balance of, you're not trying to be a conspiracist, but you look at it and you go, how could this have gone so...
But it's one thing if someone on the street says it. It's not. I mean, you, Corn Mills, member of Congress, former sniper, you saying it. I mean, it makes my eyebrows go up. When you say you're walking the line on this, intentional what?
You know, it almost seems to me, and I think that an investigation is necessary at this point within Congress, not just the FBI, not just others. You know, I look back at it and I'm thinking, all right, you know, for an individual, if you looked at the escalations and how they had tried to approach him, let's just say that it was like, okay, first we want to censor and silence you, then we want to indict and imprison you. Now we're attempting to kill you and take you off the stage.
Whoa. You, let's slow down.
Please.
I'm hearing two things from you. I don't want to jump ahead of things, but I'm also hearing you jumping ahead of things.
Well, actually, I'm just looking at all the different possible capabilities. You know, one of the things as a military member, one of the things as a person who's running the special operations communities before, one of the people who's actually done this is that you look at all potential analysis, right?
Donald Trump and his team have said, do not,
no, I agree.
Dial it back. Do not blame this on Joe Biden.
Oh, well, actually, I didn't say Joe Biden, to be completely
Who's the
clear.
they then? Let's be very specific.
Well, that's what the investigation has to do. Was it local law enforcement that had made the mistakes, or was there something to it? Was there other types of things that we need to be analyzing or looking at and providing analysis? My point is that when something's so significant, you're talking about something that hasn't happened in decades, right?
I totally...
But my point is this. From a perspective of someone who's actually conducted these are not difficult advances. This is not like I'm putting together a stage placement and a tight shot. This is about looking at your surroundings. What is my green, yellow, and red route, which is your routes out in case? What is my actual elements that I need to be looking at as far as mitigating threats or risks or increased levels? Where's my range fan for the sniper that says, okay, here's my 100, my 200, my sketch. Here's an area where someone could shoot. Because here's my thing.
This is an expert and a sitting member of Congress. This is not some, you know, tinfoil hat guy sitting in his basement with a podcast.
So
he said, while having his tinfoil hat near him in a not basement, but doing a podcast.
Royce element.
You are saying this is so basic that how big the screw up was, that's what's leading your brain down this road?
That's exactly right, in a way. But because here's the other thing. Let's just say it's a resource.
Tom Emmer was just on.
See, she's not liking this.
With me, and he said very specifically to me, I wrote it down. He said very clearly, it is too early to be talking about who is at fault and who is responsible.
That's why an investigation is necessary.
But, is it not dangerous? Is it not reckless to even be throwing around the word intentionally?
So to question things as we do an investigation is recklessness, because at that point, then should we never question anything? My point is this.
I'm not trying to be PC. My point is in the political environment that we are in.
What would it have taken, right? Let's just say that resources was limited. Let's go with that as a reasoning. So how many times have you seen where they just put a police car inside of a parking lot with not an officer in it and just leave the lights on as a deterrent? Why couldn't that have been a simple thing that was placed in? Why couldn't we have said to the owner of the actual AGR company, hey, look, we don't want to disrupt your business, but we also want to make sure your parking lot is clear of people trying to park in there for the rally. Why don't we place an officer there? My point is that this was too easy of a solution. And when I think about 160
I'm just so uncomfortable with even having
I'm uncomfortable with having to say it. Trust me, I'm
uncomfortable with hearing a person who's an expert in these kinds of situations comment on their expertise in these kinds of situations. Good morning. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching the Wake Up America show. Nice to see you all. Thank you for tuning in. Click that like button. If it's your first time here watching this show and you enjoy this kind of content, we'd love to have you be a regular guest. The show schedule is Monday through Fridays from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. And if you click that follow button, you'll be able to find us more easily the next time that you come back and join us here on the show. So click that like button. Of course, come back and join us Mondays through Fridays. Just again, an FYI, guys, we are going to be out soon whenever Stephanie comes decides that, or whenever baby Hazel decides that she wants to come, or at the latest on the 1st, the morning of the 1st. So thank you to Courtney Conover for your donation this morning. She said, Heading to work in a few, throwing in a few bucks to have the incredible Sarah Higden on the show today. Love her. Thank you very much for that. Courtney, we love you too. And that means that we have raised $2 towards the $60 goal today to unlock the bonus content. Do you not love me anymore?
Can you bless me with something?
Oh, gosh.
Money-wise. Please.
Can you suck it?
What?
Don't forget to make sure that you guys are visiting forlibertyshop.com. If you want to unlock today's bonus content, the mini documentary about a presidential assassination or potentially a would-be assassination, you'll find out when you unlock it. Visit forlibertyshop.com. Get yourself some of our incredible new Trump swag that we have in the store. Everybody's loving this new design that we have, the Courage Under Fire Donald Trump shirt that you can get exclusively at forlibertyshop.com. That's the number 4, libertyshop.com. We've got a whole Courage Under Fire collection, including the Blackout album cover, which is pretty sick. The MAGA bullet hole hats. Everybody loves these. These are hilarious. Get them over exclusively at forlibertyshop.com. And you may say, Austin, what do you mean it's $40? Well, that includes shipping and it's embroidered. It's not some low quality ball cap. It's a high quality embroidered cap with bullet holes in it. And that includes shipping. So you ain't got to worry about that other than just, the taxes because the government steals from all of us. Right. Oh, yeah. And just real quick, summer koozies, which some of those, we do have those designs on koozies. The summer koozies we have right now, a deal going on. If you buy 2, you get 3 for $1 each. So that's a great deal, as well as stickers. If you buy 2, you get 3 stickers free. And we have some awesome Trump Vance stickers, Courage Under Fire stickers, Reagan in the Streets, Kennedy in the Sheets stickers, Buck Fight, and Make Taxation Theft Again. I mean, look at all these awesome stickers. My pronouns are we the people, Thug Life, Trump stickers, Teddy Swoolsvelt. They're hilarious. They're awesome. And they're exclusive designs that we make at forlibertyshop.com. If we raise at least $60 by the end of the show, either in merchandise sales or in Rumble rants or YouTube super chats, then you'll get to watch today's mini documentary. What say ye? What say ye? All right, let's finish this interview with the sniper.
The point is that I would like to look at this and say, where was the mistake made? How can we correct it in the future? Why was this actually done? But I think that this does warrant a J13 type commission where we can actually look at it and say, let's investigate and find out why this happened so it doesn't happen to anyone. This is not about a political thing. This is about we had an attempt to assassinate a president. Mm-hmm. We really need to understand what a serious matter this is. And this was a milliseconds or millimeter difference between this being an attempt and this being an assassination. And I can tell you, at 160 yards, Kate, just to give you an idea, your off-the-shelf rifle shoots what they call 1 minute of angle at every 100-yard line. So at 100, it's 1 inch. 200, 2 inches, etc. So now you're talking about 1.6-inch grouping capability of a rifle off a manufacturing line. Your average human being, because we used to do this in understanding sniper training, you're 20 inches shoulder to shoulder, 40 inches head to waist, and you're 6'8" in your average head size. These are kind of the dimensions that you look at as an average. You're talking about a 1.6-inch grouping for multiple shots on a basic rifle. We're blessed, and I do believe in divine intervention, so I am a person of faith. Mm-hmm. I can't explain, one, I hope that it was a corrugated roof and maybe he slipped off on one of the edges of the corrugated roof or he was rushed. But the whole thing, I think, just needs to have a better explanation so that the American people and everyone can feel comfortable.
And I think.
Yeah. So what he's talking about there, and please, if we got any gun bunnies out there with more rifle knowledge than I have, when he's talking about how small the target is and how good the shots were from a rifle that was just bought off the shelf. We're not talking about some highly trained shooter with an incredible expertise. And he has, a U.S. Army sniper like he would have had difficulty getting that shot with that rifle is essentially what he's saying here. Something's weird, right? Now, listen, divine providence could be, the case that the shooter just got lucky that he was able to get those shots that closely, right? It's anybody who's ever taken a rifle out for the first time that's off the shelf and tried to get really good shots realizes how difficult it really is to actually be that good of a shot. And the fact that if Trump hadn't moved his head, that would have been a perfect headshot on his very first shot. And I had Brandon Herrera on the show on Monday, if you'll remember, and he was talking about how something was weird about this, how good the shooter's accuracy was with a red dot sight. He wasn't using a telescope sight, okay? It's 150 yards with a red dot sight that was on the shooter's thing, from what we can tell. So he had no magnification, and his shots were pretty damn accurate, right? Just for the simple fact that Trump moved his head is what saved his life. So something's weird about this. CNN is not liking what they're hearing from this congressman.
People are saying pump the brakes because we've seen conspiracy theories, honestly, on the right and the left. I just said Donio O'Sullivan on that it's already going like wildfire. This is a kind of political environment that they're saying it's too hot and people are jumping to too many conclusions.
Well,
that's why I am so uncomfortable.
As a military member, one of the things that we do is we what if scenario everything in the world, right? That's how
I know, but
I
don't know. I'm just saying
when
if
I
it's
look at
the what if that you talk about maybe in an investigation and the what if that you are presenting on live television. I don't know. It's just.
Well, so listen, I'm a public official.
Yes.
Anything that I do, anything that I say in the public. I don't try and hide it in private. I think that the American people need transparency, accountability, and accessibility.
Yeah, I like this Corey Mills guy.
To the elected officials, not to try and hide behind what we want to look at. And I also think that if the American people know that we're questioning these things as well, it puts them at rest to at least know, why aren't they at least looking into this? Why we should look at every single situation which is of this significance. We should look at it from multiple angles to ensure that nothing is left out, nothing could be potentially claimed as being covered up. Yeah. We need to have more transparency to the American people, and I think that's what everyone deserves.
But a full investigation.
Full investigation.
Before anyone
that's right.
points at fault.
That's exactly right. And that's why I say I have not made an accusation of something. I just want to make sure we're covering our bases to ensure that we get a proper investigation at all levels to ensure this doesn't happen again and that our president can be safe.
Congressman, thank you for coming in. Thank you.
Yeah, Somniferum says some manufacturers better than others. Very true. So we don't know the brand of the AR-15 that he was using. So there's a lot of questions that we still have here. The Wall Street Journal did a nice little piece that I'm not going to play for you because I forgot that they took my video down and demonetized it last time that I showed something from the Wall Street Journal. So boo to them. Boo to them, but yay for you. Good morning, Austin Peterson here. This is the Wake Up America show, and we're having a blast hanging out with all of our friends like Somniferum, Mongoose87, Look It's Liz, Barney Styles, Captain Tight Pants. Ooh, hey, Tight Pants. Come on over here, big boy. Shadow Collector, nice to see you. They turned the frogs gay. What's up? Great name. Hilarious. Love to have you on the show. It's nice to see so many new names and faces. Cyber Patriot 80 joins us for the first time, I think, today. I think it might be the first time. Let's all welcome Cyber Patriot. Yo! And they turned the frogs gay, too. Welcome, new members. We'd love to see new people, names, and faces in the chat. We hope you'll be regular guests and hang out with us. Please introduce yourselves. Let us know maybe a little bit about you, but if you don't want to tell us anything about you, that's of course fine too, but we're glad to have you here. If you haven't seen the Wake Up America show before, the schedule is 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. I'm going to get you addicted to this show like crack, and then I'm going to take it away from you. When my wife gives birth sometime soon. Yes, my very first child, baby Hazel. Little Hazel Rose will be joining the world here very soon. She will be born sometime in the next couple of weeks. So, Willis FX88 says, I think he's actually saying it would have been an easy shot. The sniper is saying that it would have been an easy shot. Yes, but he may have been. I might have misunderstood the way that he was describing that. But I'm open to corrections, of course. Jay Charette, 64, first time here, says, I think the Secret Service should be investigated. Amen. They suck protecting Donald Trump. They absolutely did. Thank you to Mommy for heading over to forlibertyshop.com and buying some sweet merch. She has just unlocked the bonus content. Yes.
The history of presidential assassinations, both attempted and successful. 10 facts about Abraham Lincoln's assassination you may not have known. Welcome to our video on the riveting details surrounding Abraham Lincoln's assassination. It was on this very day in 1865 that President Lincoln was shot while enjoying a play at Ford's Theater. He succumbed to his injuries the following morning. Why wasn't General Ulysses S. Grant present in the theater box with Lincoln as initially planned? Where was the president's bodyguard at this crucial moment? How many people were involved in the plot to assassinate Lincoln? And how did the conspirators manage to escape, albeit temporarily? While many questions have found answers over the years, some mysteries still persist. One such unresolved debate revolves around one of the alleged conspirators and her true role in Lincoln's assassination. When it comes to General Grant, he was supposed to attend but chose to visit relatives in New Jersey with his wife, declining the invitation. This decision inadvertently altered the events of that fateful night. Lincoln almost didn't attend Ford's Theater either. He was hesitant, and the New York Times reported that he felt obliged to go only after General Grant canceled. Lincoln even tried to convince House Speaker Schuyler Colfax to accompany him, but Colfax had other plans. Had Colfax accepted the invitation, two potential successors to Lincoln would have been in peril that night. Vice President Andrew Johnson, who was also targeted, was spared only because his assailant lost his nerve and didn't attack. John Wilkes Booth had tasked George Atzerodt with killing Johnson, but Atzerodt couldn't go through with it. Despite having a loaded gun and a rented room above Johnson's at the Kirkwood House Hotel, he never carried out the act. Secretary of State William Seward narrowly escaped death despite being stabbed multiple times. An assassin named Lewis Powell attacked him at home, but a metal surgical collar Seward was wearing saved his life. Lincoln's bodyguard, John Parker, left his post to watch the play and then went to a nearby saloon during intermission. Coincidentally, it was the same saloon where Booth was drinking. No one knows where Parker was during the assassination, but he wasn't guarding Lincoln. The Secret Service didn't exist in 1865. It was initially created later that year to combat counterfeiters and only became responsible for presidential protection after the assassination of President William McKinley in 1901. Booth managed to evade capture for 12 days after the assassination, fleeing with another conspirator, David Harold. They went to the Surratt Tavern in Maryland, sought medical help for Booth's broken leg, and continued through forests and swamps to Virginia. The original plan wasn't to kill Lincoln, but to kidnap him. Booth and his conspirators had planned a kidnapping on March 17, 1865, but Lincoln changed his plans last minute. After Lee's surrender, Booth decided to go for assassination instead. Mary Surratt's involvement in the conspiracy remains a contentious issue. She was a Southern sympathizer and owned a boarding house in Washington. She was close to Booth and allegedly instructed an innkeeper to prepare guns for visitors the night Lincoln was shot. On the day of the assassination, Surratt was with Booth, and the innkeeper's testimony led to her conviction and execution. The decision to hang Surratt, a woman, was controversial and was personally approved by President Andrew Johnson. These facts and unanswered questions keep the story of Lincoln's assassination alive in public memory, making it one of the most discussed and analyzed events in American history. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found these insights intriguing.
Excellence.
Welcome back to the Wake Up America show. Dang buttons. I'm Austin Peterson. Did you all enjoy the bonus content today? Hi, guys. It's nice to see you guys are all making friendly over in the Rumble chat, introducing each other. I saw our buddy Cyber Sex 22. No, Cyber Patriot 22. Oops, sorry. I was talking about gaming. He's like, yes, it's my gaming handle. Yes, I still game. Dude, I'm 43 years old, about to have my first baby and run for president of the United States and U.S. Senate, and I still play me some video games, bruh. I've recently been getting back into Red Dead Redemption 2 just because I love the cowboy genre. So I don't care. It's my form of entertainment. It's how I relax. It's how I unwind. We love to have fun. Sidewalk closed. What's up, Sidewalk? Is it your first time here too? Good to meet you. Let's get the likes up on the stream. Cybersex says yes. Amen. How could you watch this show and not click the like button?
How dare you?
Greta Thunberg will haunt you in your dreams. Speaking of being haunted in your dreams, here's the current president of the United States.
Think about this. My state of Delaware. If not many don't know my state. My state of Delaware has a Delaware River runs up along, it's jagged. But at the top of the state, there's a half moon, and it goes up along more oil refineries on the other side of that half moon, darkest looking area than anywhere in the country, including Houston. And guess what? The wind blows southeast. We had the highest cancer rate for the longest time. Do you know who's affected? Fence line communities. You know who the fence line communities are? Black communities. Look, folks.
What in the hell is he talking about? What are you talking about? How many times do we have to teach you this lesson, old man? That was Joe Biden giving a speech at the NAACP yesterday, rambling, rumbling, bumbling, stumbling Biden. This is what else he had to say.
For the race riots in Springfield, Illinois in 1908, the NAACP was formed. That's what started it.
NAACP? What the hell is the NAACP? There's a P in there. National Association for the Advancement of Coloreds. Is that what you think about them, Joe Biden? Is that what you call them, coloreds? I know that's what you used to call them back in the day, you secret racist. I know you keep seeing that Vivek Ramaswamy clip popping up there. We're going to get to that. We'll react to Vivek Ramaswamy's speech. It was so juicy, so delicious, so wonderful. And this is Joe Biden talking about Project 2025.
And this project 2024, Trump's, or 2025, Trump's deal. And this project 2024, Trump's, or 2025, Trump's deal.
Trump's deal. Okay, first of all, Trump didn't have anything to do with that. Here's the thing about the Project 2025 thing. The reason why the Democrats keep bringing that up is because it's effective. So I've been doing some reading about the Democrat polls, and they've got internal polling that shows that the hammering on Project 2025 is it's a winning formula for them. So if you've been wondering, why do the Democrats keep hammering on about this paper that was written by the Heritage Foundation, this think tank, that is not associated with Donald Trump, and he disavowed it? It's because it's effective. Because, of course, they're lying. But it doesn't matter, because if it works, then they're going to double down on it. So that's why he keeps bringing up Project 2025, because their internal polling shows that it's working.
We're going to bring rents down, as I said. We're going to build 2 million affordable homes and cap rent increases of 5% a year so corporate landlords can't gouge. Anyway, I don't want to get going.
Anyways, what the hell are you talking about? You were going to get going. You never got started. I'm done. Time real quick. He's talking about bringing rents down. This is kind of his new campaign.
We're going to bring rents down, as I said. We're going to build 2 million affordable homes and cap rent increases of 5% a year so corporate landlords can't gouge. Anyway, I don't want to get going. I'm going to get very upset.
Okay, maybe you should get started again here. Here's a little bit of irony for you.
They want to prosecute political enemies. They want to prosecute political enemies.
Wait, what? They want to prosecute political enemies? Is that not what you all are doing right now? Accuse the enemy of that which you are guilty. Remember the 2020 Summer of Love riots? Well, they were mostly peaceful, weren't they?
And you peacefully protested George Floyd's murder. Donald Trump called for the National Guard to go after you. What in the hell's the matter with this man? And you peacefully protested George Floyd's murder.
They were fiery, but mostly peaceful. Just like January 6th. It was riotous, but mostly peaceful. You know what I'm saying? January 6th was mostly peaceful. It was mostly peaceful. It was. Yes. Rumbling, bumbling, stumbling Joe Biden. Loving what I'm hearing from the Republican National Convention, but not everyone feels the same way. This speech that was given by Harmeet Dillon, she is a Sikh American, has driven some Republicans to the point of madness. This Laura Nowitsky chick, she's the big Putin lover, says, how about you get deported instead, you pagan blasphemer? God saves our president. And the RNC mocks him with this witchcraft. Oh, it's a witch. She's a witch. She turned me into a newt. A newt? I got... Well, here's what Harmeet Dillon actually had to say.
We seek your blessings and guidance for our beloved country. Please bless our people with wisdom as they vote in the upcoming election, and please bless with humility, honesty, skill, and integrity all those who conduct the election. Finally, we thank you for the Chardi Kala spirit that we have witnessed in President
What was it? Chardi Kala? That's kind of interesting.
Trump. That is, the tireless and uplifting spirit that is sustained even in the face of violent adversity, like a founding father centuries ago. And we thank you, dear God, for protecting his life. We thank you for his examples of nirbha, fearlessness, and nirvair, the absence of hate when faced with vitriol. These examples of extraordinary calm inspire us. Nanak Naam Chardi Kala Tere Bane Sarbatta Pala. May your name forever be exalted, spreading happiness and blessings and good spirit, that everyone may prosper and enjoy the grace of your peace. Thank you.
It's Harmeet Dillon. She's awesome, but not everybody agrees. Lauren Witzke thing, she was a Republican candidate, I think, for Senate in Delaware, lost the election. And she's very upset about that, the Tardika law. She's acting a little Tardika law herself, if you hadn't. But I thought it was nice. The Republicans are going to need a coalition. Local Distance posted that the woman who gave the Sikh prayer at the RNC is Harmeet Dillon. She's one of the most important conservative activists and lawyers in America. She filed lawsuits to stop stay-at-home orders during COVID, defended James Damore when Google fired him, sued Antifa on behalf of Mr. Andy Ngo when he was assaulted, sued on behalf of college Republicans when Berkeley canceled Ann Coulter's speech, sued to stop Hawaii's COVID quarantine orders, was a legal advisor to Trump 2020, filed a lawsuit against Kaiser Permanente for damage done by gender transition surgery, served as chair of the San Francisco Republican Party. She is the co-chair of Women for Trump. It goes on and on and on and on. What has Lauren Witzke ever done for the Republican Party other than just run for office and be a blonde girl with blue eyes and be angry and hateful? Not a whole lot. So why don't you just calm down, sugar tits? Harmeet Dillon is actually useful, and you're just nothing but a pretty face, but you're very ugly on the inside. Boo, Lauren Witzke. Boo, boo, boo. Joel Berry, who is, I think, the editor of the Babylon Bee. Let me see real quick. It'll pop it up. Managing editor of the Babylon Bee says, American evangelicals failed to fight for our republic and instead followed a bunch of weak-kneed centrists in North Face vests and skinny jeans into political irrelevancy. Very funny, Joel. There can be miracles if you believe, though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. So real fighters like Harmeet stepped into the gap. Sorry, evangelicals, you snooze, you lose. Yes. And I think when he's talking about the North Face vest, is he talking about Rick Santorum and Mitt Romney there? Anyways, who cares? We're all joining the Republican Party and we're going to make America great again.
From now on, it's going to be America first, okay? America first.
Yes, you love to see it. You love to see it, you know, because fact is,
by very, very stupid people.
It's true.
Very, very stupid people. We cannot let it continue.
All right, let's go get our friend Jennifer Bukowski. I want to talk to her about the Trump documents case, presidential immunity stuff. Oh, God, I got to get her take on the assassination. No Judge Napolitano today. He's out. We'll be right back. Enjoy your bonus content that you've unlocked thanks to Earth's Mommy and Courtney Conover. We'll be right back on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
Wake Up America show looks at the history of presidential assassinations, both attempted and successful. 10 facts about Abraham Lincoln's assassination you may not have known. Welcome to our video on the riveting details surrounding Abraham Lincoln's assassination. It was on this very day in 1865 that President Lincoln was shot while enjoying a play at Ford's Theater. He succumbed to his injuries the following morning. Why wasn't General Ulysses S. Grant present in the theater box with Lincoln as initially planned? Where was the president's bodyguard at this crucial moment? How many people were involved in the plot to assassinate Lincoln? And how did the conspirators manage to escape, albeit temporarily? While many questions have found answers over the years, some mysteries still persist. One such unresolved debate revolves around one of the alleged conspirators and her true role in Lincoln's assassination. When it comes to General Grant, he was supposed to attend but chose to visit relatives in New Jersey with his wife, declining the invitation. This decision inadvertently altered the events of that fateful night. Lincoln almost didn't attend Ford's Theater either. He was hesitant, and the New York Times reported that he felt obliged to go only after General Grant canceled. Lincoln even tried to convince House Speaker Schuyler Colfax to accompany him, but Colfax had other plans. Had Colfax accepted the invitation, Two potential successors to Lincoln would have been in peril that night. Vice President Andrew Johnson, who was also targeted, was spared only because his assailant lost his nerve and didn't attack. John Wilkes Booth had tasked George Atzerodt with killing Johnson, but Atzerodt couldn't go through with it. Despite having a loaded gun and a rented room above Johnson's at the Kirkwood House Hotel, he never carried out the act. Secretary of State William Seward narrowly escaped death despite being stabbed multiple times. An assassin named Lewis Powell attacked him at home, but a metal surgical collar Seward was wearing saved his life. Lincoln's bodyguard, John Parker, left his post to watch the play and then went to a nearby saloon during intermission. Coincidentally, it was the same saloon where Booth was drinking. No one knows where Parker was during the assassination, but he wasn't guarding Lincoln. The Secret Service didn't exist in 1865. It was initially created later that year to combat counterfeiters, and only became responsible for presidential protection after the assassination of President William McKinley in 1901. Booth managed to evade capture for 12 days after the assassination, fleeing with another conspirator, David Harold. They went to the Surratt Tavern in Maryland, sought medical help for Booth's broken leg, and continued through forests and swamps to Virginia. The original plan wasn't to kill Lincoln, but to kidnap him. Booth and his conspirators had planned a kidnapping on March 17, 1865, but Lincoln changed his plans last minute. After Lee's surrender, Booth decided to go for assassination instead. Mary Surratt's involvement in the conspiracy remains a contentious issue. She was a Southern sympathizer and owned a boarding house in Washington. She was close to Booth and allegedly instructed an innkeeper to prepare guns for visitors the night Lincoln was shot. On the day of the assassination, Surratt was with Booth, and the innkeeper's testimony led to her conviction and execution. The decision to hang Surratt, a woman, was controversial and was personally approved by President Andrew Johnson. These facts and unanswered questions keep the story of Lincoln's assassination alive in public memory, making it one of the most discussed and analyzed events in American history. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found these insights intriguing.
We can be doing this at some beautiful place with a gorgeous ocean.
Look, they're all pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look. There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down, see him?
Yeah, he's laying.
Good morning, Rise and Freedom. I'm Austin Peterson. You're watching and listening to the Wake Up America show on the 4 Liberty Network. Yes, that's right. We are expanding. Not only are we going to have the Wake Up America show in the morning, but 2 new shows have announced for the Liberty Network. That's right. The Liberty Tonight show is coming soon, starring Brian Piotr and the King Libertarian. Kind of libertarian are you to be a king? Well, you'll have to find out when you see the new show. And of course, our regular guest, Daniela Pensack, will host her own show as well. TBD on the name, though. It's the new 4 Liberty Network, and we're growing like crazy. Thanks for joining us. If you want to help support these ideas, don't forget to click that like button. And if it's your first time watching the show today, click the follow button as well. Come back and join us 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. It's a tour de force of economic freedom and personal liberty. On Wednesdays, we call it Big Brain Time. Normally, we have Judge Andrew Napolitano because we've got to hear from a libertarian lawyer at this part of the week. We're halfway through the week. We got to hear from some big brain people. We don't have the judge this week. So I said, who is the biggest brain libertarian lawyer I know that's not Judge Napolitano? Well, it's obvious. It's Jennifer Bukowski, the Esquire on Fire, another mid-Missouri, central Missouri libertarian herself. Good morning, JB. Nice to see you.
Good morning, Austin. That's very kind of you to say. Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. Obviously, there's a lot going on, Jennifer, and I would love to get your thoughts on absolutely everything, but I've got like 20 minutes. So let's start right away with your thoughts on the case against Donald Trump being dismissed that Jack Smith had brought involving the classified documents case. 1, was this the biggest case against Donald Trump? 2, what does this mean for Biden's mishandling of documents, allegations? Talk to us a little bit about that.
This is big news for Trump because the case, it's a defense attorney's dream. I'm a criminal defense attorney, and this case is gone right now. I mean, it will be appealed. The decision dismissing the entire case will be appealed to the 11th Circuit, But unlike the DC case, we saw that immunity decision kind of knocked out part of that case for sure, but maybe not all of it. A decision also related to it that came out from the Supreme Court the week before knocked out some of the counts of that DC case. But this decision by Eileen Cannon knocked out the entire case in Florida. I call it the library violation case because Trump was quibbling with them about what things he had to return to their library, and they decided to raid his house with armed agents over it in a shocking decision that had to have been approved by Joe Biden from the outset, let's be honest, or at least whoever's running the White House on behalf of Joe Biden had to have known about this before they raided his residence, Mar-a-Lago, and seized boxes and boxes of evidence, dragged him and others through the courts in Florida, and this huge indictment that I've got a pile of these Trump lawfare of pleadings that I've had printed out to refer to because these come up, but now this one, poof, dismissed, and it's a big day for Team Trump. They preserved that objection. Good for them for doing so, because the special counsel has no statutory authority. He's just a private citizen, and no congressional approval was given or law was passed to give him the kind of power that he had. So it's a complete separation of powers issue, and I think Eileen Cannon got this one right.
Great stuff, Jennifer. Now, how will this, what will this mean for Joe Biden, who's being accused of doing the same thing?
Well, Joe Biden hasn't been indicted by a special counsel, so this actually won't affect him at all. He hasn't been indicted by a special counsel that wasn't appointed in accordance with the Constitution and confirmed by the Senate, although Jack Smith is exercising powers if he is the United States Attorney General. He never went through Senate confirmation, so there's a separation of powers issue there. Also, there's a separation of powers issue in that he's spending millions and millions of dollars that were never appropriated by Congress. And this is something that my favorite justice, Clarence Thomas, brought up in a concurrence in the immunity decision. He said that these mechanisms were put in our Constitution for a reason, because Americans were upset that the king could not only appoint whoever he wanted with no oversight from elected representatives, but he could just create new offices all the time. And all these people had all these new powers, and they were being abusive towards the citizenry. And it's part of why we rebelled. I mean, it's not something that we hear a lot about, but it is actually part of the historical framework that our founders were upset about and made sure when they wrote the Constitution to put checks in against.
What do you think about that, folks? That's Jennifer Bukowski with us live right now, calling it back to 1776 style here on the Wake Up America show. Make sure you click that like button if you enjoy that kind of discussion. Jennifer, how much legal peril is President Trump currently in? Because I know that there is still a sentencing from the New York case, and then there's still Georgia going on. What's the situation now with the lawfare against President Trump? Where are we at?
Well, we're at a situation where Judge Arthur Engoron has still ordered him to pay $355 million, and they've put his businesses on hold, bankrupted. I mean, they're trying to bankrupt the man and put him in prison the rest of his life. I'm hopeful that Judge Merchan, who has not shown himself to be a fair and impartial justice, but didn't end up actually locking him up for gag order violations, given the seriousness or complete lack thereof of these bookkeeping, that's the bookkeeping case up in New York. I'm hoping that sentencing has been delayed till September. Some people have speculated with the immunity decision that maybe some of the evidence shouldn't have been admitted against him and he'll rule a mistrial. I'm not that hopeful. I think this has to go to appellate courts, but I hope, though, that he does not sentence him to jail, because that sentencing has been postponed until mid-September. Then we still have, the DC case is not going to be heard because they're going to have all kinds of hearings on what's a private act versus what's an official act to determine what counts can proceed, if any, in that case. You have the Georgia case with Fani Willis, which has been, kind of a circus sideshow, but that's kicking around in the Georgia Court of Appeals right now. As to whether it was proper to allow her to stay on the case. after her former paramour recused himself, and multiple attorneys, including Fonnie Willis, her former paramour, and his former law partner, were found in a decision to be very concerning to the judge, and basically called him liars in that decision. So we're going to see if she remains on that case. I'm hopeful that she will not, because it was just a bad, embarrassing look for Georgia all around. And I think those appellate courts are going to kick her off the case. And then what are we missing here, Austin? We have the 2 state ones, New York and Georgia. Yeah, those are the 4 criminal cases that he still has to pay that lady that he allegedly groped in a dressing room $100 million now. And then they want $355 million for his supposedly misstating his assets, which hurt no one. He didn't ever not pay a dime back. And that was like the normal process back then for real estate people the banks did their own due diligence. It was a ridiculous case to be brought by Letitia James.
I love the word paramour, by the way. That's a very classy way to describe that situation. I probably wouldn't be as classy in describing that situation. I'm speaking to Jennifer Bukowski. She's the Esquire on Fire. Make sure you follow her over at x.com at ESQONFIRE, Esquire on Fire. We're talking to her this morning in lieu of the great Judge Napolitano about some of the legal peril that Donald Trump has been in, some of the things that he's faced and some of the things that he's faced down and won. Maybe, Jennifer, the left decided if they couldn't jail him, that they would just assassinate him instead. Your thoughts?
You know, I remember Tucker. I saw him on some interview speculating that exact same thing. And the Saturday night that occurred to me. And we do need to have protections on him, because the rhetoric has been so heated about put a bullseye on him, or he's a threat to democracy. This man that they're trying to jail, kick off the ballot, everything else, he's the real threat to democracy, not them. They're trying to save democracy by preventing their opponents from being able to maintain their freedom, or maybe even their lives. You know, they certainly wanted to jail him for life. I hope that this is just a lone actor. That's what it looks like, that this 20-year-old, I don't know that, you know, he would have been the hired hitman for anyone here. But I mean, he certainly got the idea from somewhere. And it's not new, though. I mean, they tried to assassinate Ronald Reagan. Throughout history, important figures, JFK, have been assassinated, or attempted assassinations have taken place. And I just thank God that Donald Trump tilted his head at that moment, because my son, like in middle school, could have made that shot. He hunts deer, and he's made that shot and killed a deer from that distance. So he was so close, it blows my mind that that was allowed to occur.
Yeah, for sure. And funny use of the word, blows your mind there.
Oh gosh, that was not intentional.
Careful with the double entendres around here.
No kidding.
Jennifer, we're seeing a new Republican Party these days like we have not seen in the past. This is not the party of Mitt Romney, John McCain anymore. Some people are outraged at the appearance on the RNC stage of people like Harmeet Dillon, who offered a Sikh prayer, a blessing, to the crowd yesterday, saying that, you know, this is a pagan prayer, that she shouldn't be there. Others were also criticizing some of the RNC speakers, like Amber Rose, for example, because she does OnlyFans, and she has called herself a sleut in the past, if you will. And so I wonder what your take is, your reaction to some of the outrage concerning those less than orthodox speakers at the RNC.
Well, Harmeet Dillon is not a less than orthodox speaker. I mean, until recently, she was on Fox News every night. She's the GOP chairwoman from California. She's a personal friend of mine, very involved with the Republican National Lawyers Association, as am I, and a brilliant conservative legal mind and fighter on the right. And I was a delegate in 2016, and they did have people of all faiths praying, giving benedictions at the opening and closing, you know, of the less than primetime moments, so they might not have all been televised, but they had a variety of speakers and a diversity of speakers before. I thought that OnlyFans Amber, I didn't know much about her. She didn't bring up OnlyFans when she spoke. I saw her remarks and I didn't quite understand from those remarks why Matt Walsh, is it, from the Daily Wire, was outraged at her appearance. I guess maybe she, brags about that type of
Being
activity.
Biggest.
Sleuths can vote too, Austin. Makes sense.
Yes.
That's fine.
That's right. That's right.
Let's not make her head of education was the limited Department of Education, but let's go ahead and include her in the tent if she wants to be in the tent. She said she investigated Donald Trump, saw he is not racist, reviewed all of these things, started going to rallies and loving the red hat wearing people, and now she's one of us. And I say, welcome to her.
I completely agree. I mean, Jennifer, you and I, we're liberty Republicans in the Republican Party, and we have we're outnumbered by evangelical conservatives, especially here in the state of Missouri. But the party is not all evangelical conservatives. You can't just win with one faction. It'd be like us liberty Republicans trying to say, oh, there should only be you, me, and Vivek Ramaswamy, and that's the entire GOP. Trump seems to understand, and people, of our ideological ilk in the GOP seem to understand, we know that we need a big tent and a broad coalition if we're going to beat the communists. Isn't that the case?
It is, and I was thinking about you in the light of JD Vance's nomination and trying to think, is he one of us? Is he a liberty Republican? He is not a war hawk, but he's also a populist. Is that a bad thing? So I've been wrestling with these very issues and what does our party stand for? Because when you see the one that bothered me a little bit that spoke was the head of the unions. I believe in employer freedom, and I do want people to be prosperous and have good jobs and healthcare and all of that. I want people to have good, healthy lives, but I think that the unions, particularly the public sector unions, have been a huge problem in our society. And so
I was triggered.
I was more bothered by him than I was by. I wasn't bothered at all by Harmeet. I love Harmeet Dillon. And Amber, I don't really care about her speaking one way or the other. She was just an everyday American that was giving her thoughts.
Yeah, no, for sure. I'm the same as you. It wasn't the Amber Rose that bothered me. Harmeet Dillon's fine. But when the Teamsters Union head got up to speak, I was just kind of attack dog mode. I understand we do want to have a big tent, but I am curious your thoughts on the JD Vance question here, because
they're letting him in because their unions are losing, so they're trying to join a winning team.
Yeah, exactly. They want to pick a winner for sure. All right, I understand. But the interesting thing about JD Vance is, and maybe you followed this as closely as I have, but this is the movement of people like Peter Thiel who call themselves the post-libertarians, right? They're no longer with you or I on some of these issues when it comes to what we want to do to the deep state and to the bureaucracies. See, you and I, we're like Javier Milei. We're like Vivek Ramaswamy. We want to abolish these institutions, the deep state. We want to throw them out. We want to close down the institutions. And I've heard JD Vance say he's sympathetic to that ideal, but barring that, he would like to staff the deep state with people who are right-wingers, conservatives, and populists to control the government and use it against their enemies. This is the new nationalism. This is the new populism in the Republican Party. It's very much tied to the old progressive Republican traditions of Theodore Roosevelt, the antitrust. I mean, JD Vance is a big they are.
At least they're not war. They're not pro-war.
Well, that's the one good thing, that they're not war hawks. It's a big thing, but I'd like to have free markets. I'd like to have capitalism. I want to be able to raise a family on an income. That's what they say they want. But for that, I can't have tariffs. I can't run my merch shop if I've got a 25% tariff slapped on me, because these rich guys who did international trade, I mean, my Donald Trump tie is from China, Jennifer, and they want to rip up the ladder for guys like me to make a living for my family now after they have already enriched themselves. It's hypocritical.
It's like Warren Buffett all of a sudden being in favor of a big income tax. Well, it's his money is already in the bank. He already has that wealth. It's not income necessarily that he's going to be paying more taxes on. Yeah, it is somewhat hypocritical, but I'm not sure what JD Vance, I'm rereading his book right now. And I do think the little guy has been screwed over and forgotten. And a lot of these jobs have been pushed out. And a lot of people with the open border, it's really hurting the working class people. So I am conflicted on some of this stuff, whether we should be the populist party or not. We are a big tent, but I don't want to be a big government tent. And we've been that for too long. And I think Donald Trump is paring some of that back. He did too much spending, but he did some tax cuts. Yeah, I hope to see someone with some fiscal restraint having a voice in the next Trump administration.
Libertarian lawyer Jennifer Bukowski is the Esquire on Fire. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with our listeners or maybe plug before we let you go today, Jennifer?
Well, the biggest thing is follow me on Twitter, guys. I'd love to have some followers at ESQ on Fire. That's about it.
Jennifer, thank you so much for your time this morning, being so generous with it. And thanks for filling in for Judge Andrew Napolitano. You fill those big shoes quite well. We look forward to having you back on the show very soon. Have a wonderful day.
Thanks. You too.
There you go. Give her a follow over at Esquire on Fire. That's ESQONFIRE. We appreciate JB. Wasn't she awesome? Yeah, that was awesome. Great interview. Click the like button if you enjoyed it. And if it's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, we'd love to have you be a regular guest. It's 5 days a week, every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. One listener texted in at 573-319-1586 and said, love JB. Thanks for the show. Yeah, well, you're welcome. Thanks for listening. We've got such an awesome audience here on the Wake Up America show. I love the fans. They're always so generous and they're so friendly. We really do work very hard over here on the For Liberty Network to try and build healthy and positive and uplifting communities. And it certainly appears as if we have it certainly feels as if we have accomplished that, at least to my understanding, my knowledge. The people that we have over here in the followers for the show are just some of the nicest people ever. And I appreciate all the support that you guys give morally, financially. That's why I get up every single day, because I know you guys are going to be there for me. I know you guys are going to be waiting for me. I really appreciate you guys. Okay, so what else do we have here on the show today? We've got Sarah Higden joining us here in 10 minutes. That's going to be good. She's going to talk a little bit more about the controversy surrounding Harmeet Dillon and Amber Rose, who spoke at the RNC. A lot of people are really triggered by it, and I'd like to get Sarah Higden's take, as well as some of the attacks that have been made against JD Vance for having a wife who is Indian. Yes, believe it or not, JD Vance's wife is Indian, and they have mixed race children. And of course, Nick Fuentes and the Gropers are all attacking JD Vance for some of his comments about this. But let's talk about the best Indian that there is in the world. My favorite Indian, Vivek Ramaswamy, who gave an incredible speech at the RNC. Here's a little part of it from yesterday.
This is unifying. That's who we are as Americans. That's who we've always been. To those of you watching this at home tonight, I'd like to deliver a message that the media doesn't want you to hear from the Republican Party. Our message to Black Americans is this. The media has tried to convince you for decades that Republicans don't care about your communities, but we do. We want for you what we want for every American. Safe neighborhoods, clean streets, good jobs, a better life for your children, and a justice system that treats everyone equally, regardless of your skin color and regardless of your political beliefs.
Give it to him, Vivek. It's my boy. It's my boy.
Our message to every legal immigrant in this country is this. You're like my parents. You deserve the opportunity to secure a better life for your children in America. But our message to illegal immigrants is also this. We will return you to your country of origin, not because you're all bad people, but because you broke the law. And the United States of America was founded on the rule of law. Our message to millennials, speaking as one myself. Yes, it's true. Our government sold us a false bill of goods with the Iraq War and the 2008 financial crisis. Loading up our...
Somebody shouted, that's right. That was the Ron Paul guy out there. It might have been Senator, it might have been Eric Brakey.
National debt that falls on our generation's shoulders, telling us that if we took out college loans, we'd somehow get a head start on the American dream, when it hasn't worked out that way. But we can't just be cynical about our country, because the United States of America is still the last best hope that we have, and we deserve a better class of politicians.
USA.
One who actually
USA.
tells us the truth, even if it comes with some mean tweets from time to time.
Yes, Vivek, 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 USA, USA, Vivek, Vivek. JD's son apparently is named Vivek. Oh, that's amazing. That's Missouri. That was Missouri. Hold on one second. That's the Missouri delegation right there, because that's Maisie Christensen from Missouri. USA, USA.
And our message to Gen Z is this. You're going to be the generation that actually saves this country. You want to be a rebel?
Oh.
You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative. Say you want to get married, have kids, teach them to believe in God and pledge allegiance to their country. Because you know what? Fear has been infectious in this country, but courage can be contagious too. That too is what it means to be an American.
I like that he said pledge allegiance to the country, not flag. I thought that was interesting. Mean tweets. Yes, Liz over in the chat. Mean tweets, mean tweets, mean tweets, mean tweets. Make mean tweets great again.
And you know what? If you're at home and you disagree with everything I just said, our message to you is this. We will still defend to the death your right to say it, because that is who we are as Americans. We are the country where we can disagree like hell and still get together at the dinner table at the end of it. That is the America I know. That is the America we miss.
I love Vivek Ramaswamy, man. He is the freaking man. All right, next is Sarah Higden to talk about the controversy about some of the speakers of the RNC. Can the GOP be a big tent party? Will evangelical conservatives walk away if they continue to invite people like me into the party? Oh no, it's a skunk at the garden party. Who farted? We'll talk about that when we get back on the Wake Up America show at wakeupAmericaShow.com. I'm not wakeupAmericaShow.com, the For Liberty Network.
Wake Up America show looks at the history of presidential assassinations, both attempted and successful. 10 facts about Abraham Lincoln's assassination you may not have known. Welcome to our video on the riveting details surrounding Abraham Lincoln's assassination. It was on this very day in 1865 that President Lincoln was shot while enjoying a play at Ford's Theater. He succumbed to his injuries the following morning. Why wasn't General Ulysses S. Grant present in the theater box with Lincoln as initially planned? Where was the president's bodyguard at this crucial moment? How many people were involved in the plot to assassinate Lincoln? And how did the conspirators manage to escape, albeit temporarily? While many questions have found answers over the years, some mysteries still persist. One such unresolved debate revolves around one of the alleged conspirators and her true role in Lincoln's assassination. When it comes to General Grant, he was supposed to attend but chose to visit relatives in New Jersey with his wife, declining the invitation. This decision inadvertently altered the events of that fateful night. Lincoln almost didn't attend Ford's Theater either. He was hesitant, and the New York Times reported that he felt obliged to go only after General Grant canceled. Lincoln even tried to convince House Speaker Schuyler Colfax to accompany him, but Colfax had other plans. Had Colfax accepted the invitation, two potential successors to Lincoln would have been in peril that night. Vice President Andrew Johnson, who was also targeted, was spared only because his assailant lost his nerve and didn't attack. John Wilkes Booth had tasked George Atzerodt with killing Johnson, but Atzerodt couldn't go through with it. Despite having a loaded gun and a rented room above Johnson's at the Kirkwood House Hotel, he never carried out the act. Secretary of State William Seward narrowly escaped death despite being stabbed multiple times. An assassin named Lewis Powell attacked him at home, but a metal surgical collar Seward was wearing saved his life. Lincoln's bodyguard, John Parker, left his post to watch the play and then went to a nearby saloon during intermission. Coincidentally, it was the same saloon where Booth was drinking. No one knows where Parker was during the assassination, but he wasn't guarding Lincoln. The Secret Service didn't exist in 1865. It was initially created later that year to combat counterfeiters and only became responsible for presidential protection after the assassination of President William McKinley in 1901. Booth managed to evade capture for 12 days after the assassination, fleeing with another conspirator, David Harold. They went to the Surratt Tavern in Maryland, sought medical help for Booth's broken leg, and continued through forests and swamps to Virginia. The original plan wasn't to kill Lincoln, but to kidnap him. Booth and his conspirators had planned a kidnapping on March 17, 1865, but Lincoln changed his plans last minute. After Lee's surrender, Booth decided to go for assassination instead. Mary Surratt's involvement in the conspiracy remains a contentious issue. She was a Southern sympathizer and owned a boarding house in Washington. She was close to Booth and allegedly instructed an innkeeper to prepare guns for visitors the night Lincoln was shot. On the day of the assassination, Surratt was with Booth, and the innkeeper's testimony led to her conviction and execution. The decision to hang Surratt, a woman, was controversial and was personally approved by President Andrew Johnson. These facts and unanswered questions keep the story of Lincoln's assassination alive in public memory, making it one of the most discussed and analyzed events in American history. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found these insights intriguing.
I wouldn't be doing this. I'd be at some beautiful place with a gorgeous ocean. The
Look, they're all
Mediterranean,
pointing.
The Atlantic, maybe the Pacific.
Yeah, someone's on top of the roof. Look.
And,
There he is right there. Right there, see him? He's laying down. You see him?
Yeah, he's laying down.
and son, I'm here with you.
Mays 6 jobs for 3 people just to survive in Biden's economy.
Why am I crying over the Republican National Convention? Like, what the frick is going on?
It's upsetting. It's
This
upsetting to see
this world that we're living in right now.
to help immigrants
Hold on,
who
let
came
me
here
pause this.
illegally while
Woo, this world that we're living in right now feels like upside down land. I've been a Democrat for nearly 50 years. Why am I crying over the Republican National Convention? Like, Amber Rose did a beautiful job. Oh, she did a beautiful job. I'm so proud of her. And then all the diversity and just, I think I'm crying because it's cognitive dissonance. It's cognitive dissonance. Like, what is going on? I've been told my whole life Republicans are just all, white and racist men and all of this. I don't think I've probably ever watched a Republican National Convention. Let's start there. You don't know unless you go see for yourself and stop listening to what people tell you. It's just so beautiful. Just the patriotism, the coming together. I'm telling you, if you on the outside and you think MAGA is this horrible thing, I don't know what to tell you besides you have to see for yourself. It's beautiful. It's so beautiful. The coming together of America. America saying no more, no longer. We're not going to do this. We're not going to divide ourselves. We are red, white, and blue. It's beautiful. Okay, I got to finish watching.
Beautiful, eh? Good morning. Rise and freedom. Boy, she got red pilled, didn't she, Mighty Megatron? Welcome to the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. I'm your host, Austin Peterson. Glad and thankful to have you here. Click that like button. If today's your first time watching the Wake Up America show, we'd love to have you be a regular guest. This show streams live every 5, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. Central Time. So if you don't want to forget who we are and want to be able to find us easily, if you click the follow button before you leave today, you'll be able to join us again tomorrow morning. So yes, the diversity at the Republican National Convention yesterday. Some people were not pleased to see the diversity, and it was many in the old guard in the evangelical conservative wing of the Republican Party who don't think that people like Harmeet Dillon should be up there on stage giving her Sikh prayers. They don't like that Amber Rose was getting up on stage, giving a speech that was so powerful that you saw that black woman Democrat crying watching the speech, saying that for the first time as a Democrat for 50 years, she had never felt this way about Republicans and MAGA like how she felt when she watched that speech from Amber Rose. Not everybody agrees. The Daily Wire's Matt Walsh, who I'm sure is not a big fan of my next guest, did not like that Amber Rose speech, thinks the Republican Party's going in the wrong direction. Let's talk about the wrong direction, the right direction, which direction you want to go. This is a free country. So let's have Sarah Higden on the show, joining us live right now. Good morning, Sarah. Nice to see you again.
Good morning, Austin. Yeah, it's been a little bit. It's always good to be on the show, though.
Sarah, you've been a long libertarian for a long time, supporting libertarian causes. Admit it, you're tempted to join us in the Republican Party with Vivek and Amber Rose.
You know, I'm going to tell you something, Austin. I might surprise you. I've never endorsed a presidential candidate. I've never donated to a presidential candidate. But this last weekend, I bought my Black Never Surrender MAGA hat. So, yeah.
What? It's a wonderful time to be alive. I've been having a blast in the GOP since I joined in 2017. It's a completely different party than it used to be, right? I was very hardcore third-party libertarian guy for 10 years during the John McCain, Mitt Romney, George W. Bush years. We kind of wandered through the wilderness, and it's just when I saw Amber Rose on stage and Vivek Ramaswamy, and you look at JD Vance and his diverse wife, I mean, the Groypers are very upset. The white nationalists are very upset. The evangelical conservatives are very upset. And I'm just kind of like, finally, this party is becoming something that I really identify with. What are your thoughts on just the whole big situation?
No, I really think you're right. It's really interesting, right? We didn't see a lot of the same people going after Vivek Ramaswamy because he's kind of been accepted by a lot of people in the party, even though he's not of Christian faith, right? I also think, if you're going after somebody like Harmeet Dillon, who has done so much for this movement, it's the same people that are going after her now are the reason why we had Ronna McDaniel running the RNC for so long. Because if you remember, Harmeet Dillon tried to get the RNC chair position, and she was voted down. And Ronna McDaniel took over and did, what they wanted, and it wasn't a good thing. So I really think that it's a good thing to see. And one thing that people didn't actually see, and it kind of flew under the radar a little bit, is the RNC actually removed all anti-gay language from the platform. They removed the stance on gay marriage. And anything to do with. I think the only thing that they kept in there is to keep males out of female sports and stuff like that. So really, it was a big win even for the log cabin Republicans.
So the LGBT stuff in the platform, which has been an important part of the Republican Party, opposing gay marriage for quite some time, was removed under the new Trump-approved platform. Yeah. People like Matt Walsh are not happy. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, like I said, I think the Republican Party, there's people like Matt Walsh and stuff out there who I think are out there rage baiting, but they want the Republican Party to be this theocratic system where they say, oh, well, you don't have to be Christian, but you can't hold any positions of power if you're not Christian in this platform. And that doesn't bring anybody over. That doesn't win elections. We saw, it obviously doesn't win elections because what happened in 2020, if you depend on where your views on that are, but still, it was close enough that it could be challenged. And you have to bring people over to the party in order to win elections. And these people, there's a lot of people that, like you said, the old guard that just want to have things the way that they were, have this system where they're in charge and not really bring anybody in. And they would condemn people like me for wanting to vote Republican and everything like that. And I've been more conservative leaning my whole life. And it's just, they're the ones that don't actually know how to move the needle. I think Matt Walsh's statement was Amber Rose is not mobilizing anybody to vote, but I contended that, the Daily Wire is not motivating anybody new to go vote. Everybody that's a Daily Wire subscriber is already voting for Donald Trump. So right now, the Republican Party is trying to get that 1% that doesn't know who they're voting for yet, who's still undecided. And a lot of these people don't know how to reach people that are gettable. And they actually just start pushing people like me and others away from the party. I mean, that's kind of what pushed me away from the party in the first place. I was a Tea Party conservative, moved more libertarian. I still hold deeply libertarian views, but right now there's a lot of good things I think we're seeing happen in the Republican Party.
It's very exciting, Sarah, to be a part of it. I mean, I definitely think that leaving the Libertarian Party in 2017 was the right move at the right time. I got a lot of criticism for it at the time, but I've been able to make headway in Republican Party politics here in the state of Missouri. I've been able to establish myself, as a known figure and a personality here in the state of Missouri. People who are running for office seek me out to come and talk on my show. They seek out my endorsement. And I'm, this would not, I would have been, 20 years ago, if I had held the views that I held right now in the Republican Party in the state of Missouri, they would have run me out like I was a Mormon in the 1800s, like burned me at the stake for these kinds of views. But now I find that times have changed and that the party has moved towards our ideas. What's fascinating is that from Republicans is that the rhetoric of the Republican Party used to be much more libertarian, but they governed like Democrats. Now it seems almost, Sarah, as if the rhetoric is more authoritarian, but the actual party itself is much more libertarian in practice, including a lot of the criminal justice reform that we saw from the first Trump administration, the tax cuts, et cetera, et cetera. Donald Trump's party is much more amenable to people like you or I than what the Republican Party used to be in the 1980s and the 1990s. Isn't that the case?
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. I think people are waking up to the fact now that what a lot of us more libertarian leaning people have always kind of said, the MAGA movement is not a Christian nationalist movement. Donald Trump was a New York liberal, that ran for president in the Reform Party. So it's not surprising to see moving this direction. But it is interesting, like you said, what you're seeing in practice is moving more towards liberty, whereas the old guard is shouting from the rooftops. The old, the neocons are not having a good time right now.
And we're the party, and the Republican Party is the party of Vivek Ramaswamy. And Vivek Ramaswamy, he doesn't sort of placate the national conservative movement of these new populists who are advocating against free markets. He went to the NatCon conference last week and told them to their face that they're wrong about economics. So, I mean, there might be a chance in the future. If Vivek Ramaswamy becomes an even bigger leader in the GOP going forward, people like us might have an even bigger say.
Yeah, I actually met Vivek real quick at the presidential debate. I had a press pass for the presidential debate, and I spoke to him for a quick second. And I think he is more the future of the party. And even yesterday, I saw an interview with him because somebody asked him, is he the libertarian that Donald Trump is going to put in his cabinet? And he said, he's a libertarian-leaning Republican, but he's not a libertarian. So it's going to be somebody else from the Libertarian Party, essentially, that's going to be put in that cabinet position that's even more libertarian than even Vivek is. So I think that's even a good news when you have something like that. Now, if Donald Trump gets elected, there's also a chance that Vivek could take JD Vance's Senate seat because he is also from Ohio. So
Sarah,
there's a lot of things at stake here.
This is such a white pill this morning.
No.
Yes. It's like, it's so, and then, I mean, turning towards our former colleagues, right, not to kick like a dog while it's down or anything, but like the Libertarian Party, I mean, it's like, it's more repellent than it's ever been, which is kind of fascinating because, I mean, you are a transsexual activist. I mean, and Chase Oliver very much is kind of like that kind of activist, but you're not supporting him. Why?
Right. So I will maintain that I like Chase as a person. Me and Chase know each other personally. I've been to his house. I was actually at his house when he announced his run for U.S. Senate. We have respect for each other. The biggest thing, I think that there are some misnomers. People are telling some lies about his platforms out there. I also think sometimes he doesn't describe some of his platform well. But the problem is he's also actively campaigned against bills that I've literally helped write, like the Louisiana version of the Don't Say Gay bill. I consulted on that bill to make sure it wasn't anti-gay, right? So, and also like our bill here in Georgia, I passed the bill banning puberty blocker, or not puberty blockers, but we got cross-sex hormones and surgeries banned. And obviously he's from Georgia too. He's here and he was actively against that. So I can't vote for somebody who is not going to help me push my biggest advocacy for, right? So as much as I like Chase, I do think he is more libertarian leaning than even Donald Trump, or he has more libertarian values than Donald Trump. There's just things I can't vote for about him. You know, I can't get past.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I'm speaking to Sarah Higden this morning on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Nice to see our friends joining us on Rumble as well as on X.com. Q Fay this morning says, "Good morning, AP, with the heart and the American flag." Nice to see you. Very cute. Don't forget, friends, to click that like button and also follow the show as well. We'd love to have you join us regularly. There's 1,115 people watching us live on X this morning. Nice to see you all here today. If you're watching us over at X.com and you'd like to participate in the chat, the Rumble chat's the best place to do it. You'll find the Rumble feed over at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. So join us over there until Elon can get his act together and get us a decent commenting platform over on X.com, because the party's all over at rumble.com/AP for Liberty. Join us over here and join us in the chat. We're making friends and having a great time. Speaking of friends, Sarah Higden, who's joining us live right now, is talking to us a little bit about the new Republican Party. I guess the big news items this week, JD Vance, who came in. I think this is a good kind of segue. And then I want to ask you about the assassination attempt from last weekend. JD Vance has said that he is sympathetic to the Vivek Ramaswamy, Rand Paul, Austin Peterson, Sarah Higden view of, or Javier Milei way of running the government, right? To cut out the agencies, to shut them down. He says he's sympathetic to that, but if they can't do it, if the right can't do it, we should staff the government with right wingers. We should staff it and then admittedly use it against our political enemies. What's your take on that kind of view of things? Do the Javier Milei thing if you can. If not, put Sarah Higden as the Secretary of Defense.
I mean, if you're going to put somebody, you're going to put me as the Secretary of Defense, okay? But that's the thing, like, so there. There's the minarchist view that I have, whereas obviously the Defense Department's a little bit different animal when you're talking about ending the other agencies, but the Defense Department, I do believe that would be the only agency that I think is valid as a minarchist myself. But I think that there could be something to that, but you have to get in there and you have to drain the swamp, and the best way to end an agency is to put somebody at the head to dismantle it from within and then show that it's useless and then take it out. I think that that's the best way to do it. So like put somebody like Ron Paul in charge of the Fed would be the best thing for it, right? You're going to end the Fed. There's a lot that's come out now. JD Vance himself, I don't know exactly where he stands on a lot of things. I think that he's had some issues with flip-flopping in the past. He's only 39 years old, so there's that. but I think that there's some things that he's anti-war, which is what's good with him. I actually, what was encouraging this weekend, I think there's some really, it's fun to kind of think about, like the fact that Donald Trump and Robert F. Kennedy had a long discussion this weekend is encouraging, because if you put somebody like Robert F. Kennedy as the AG or in charge of, say, one of the 3-letter agencies, you can kind of root out the corruption from within. Because I think after the shooting this weekend, Donald Trump is probably more motivated than ever to root out the deep state. And he probably had the same conversation with Robert F. Kennedy after what happened with his dad and his uncle. So, I mean, like, you put something like that you put him in charge of something like the CIA, and then Harmeet Dillon in charge of the Attorney General. I mean, you're talking about a dream scenario. You put somebody like Vivek in there. Honestly, I think in that libertarian position, I think Spike Cohen's probably the best person for that position to go in there and do some good work. He's probably the best advocate for liberty out there that can work within the constraints of the government as well.
You think that somebody like Spike Cohen might see? This is the thing, and Courtney Conover in the chat had brought this up, and it's a good point. You think Spike Cohen or Dave Smith or anybody who has a big L after the name is actually going to be able to survive a congressional hearing? Just being real here, Sarah.
I think so, but
yeah, I don't know if I believe you on that, Sarah Higden. Let's give her a round of boos for Sarah Higden.
I think Spike will. I think Spike's squeaky cleans.
Maybe Spike might be the only one who could potentially pass it, but I don't know about a cabinet level position. You get in front of the U.S. Senate, and you really have to answer for all of your beliefs and views and photographs that they're going to pull up in big time. And it's the Senate who confirms the cabinet. Yeah. It's not the president's choice. So there's going to be a pretty high bar for people who are of our. And you know what? That really does speak to the weakness of our movement, Sarah, that we don't have the kind of people who are who have the actual institutional knowledge or experience or the sort of force of personality that I think could actually get through those kinds of hearings to get to a cabinet level position. So honestly, if Donald Trump doesn't appoint someone who is more libertarian than Vivek, and it has to be Vivek, I'd be fine with that, but I would not be surprised. I wouldn't blame Donald Trump if for some reason a capital L libertarian can't make it through congressional hearings, would you?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because they're going to pull up old tweets and stuff, and we tend to be more extreme with rhetoric sometimes, but
lots of saying the N-word, like Jeremy Kauffman and the New Hampshire Libertarians. See, look at that face, Sarah. That face says it all right there. Sarah,
that's the cringe part. I mean, I wouldn't talk about New Hampshire, like
I wouldn't talk about
as being the face of the party.
Yeah, exactly. Don't talk about New Hampshire. Sarah, thanks for being so generous with your time this morning. We love having you on to talk about these things. You've got your own show as well. Do you want to share it with our audience?
Yeah, so I do a show Monday night. It's called Transform to Freedom. It's on Rumble, X, YouTube, across all platforms. And it's just at Sarah Higden on all of those platforms. Actually, on X, it's at Sarah Higden _. I also shout out too, I'm the digital marketing manager over at Free the People. So we're doing some great work over there. So go follow them across platforms at Free the People.
There you go, Free the People. Sarah Higden, thanks so much for joining us and getting up so early. Have a wonderful week. See you soon.
Yep.
Let's see that MAGA hat. Next time. We appreciate Sarah Higden. Don't forget to follow Sarah Higden. If you're enjoying the content this morning, we want to hear you click that like. Yes. The Wake Up America show is brought to you in part by our friends over at Preserve Capital, or Preserve Gold, who want us to remind you that gold and silver are a great way to secure your financial future. Stephanie and we are securing our financial future with a bag of gold and silver that we like to say is our, when Ron Paul happening times come, we've got our bag of gold and silver. If you've never bought gold or silver before, you might not know how to invest in it. It might be something that's a little intimidating to you. So for that reason, they've set up this hotline for you to text, and they'll send you a free gold and silver information packet teaching you. They're not going to spam the heck out of you or call you like crazy and make you annoyed that you contacted them. They are going to make it just easy for you to figure out how to invest in gold and silver. You can buy gold or silver coins or bars, and you can also invest it in your IRA. I recommend that you send them a text today at 50505. Excuse me. Text the word liberty to 50505. Again, if you text the word liberty to 50505, they're going to send you a gold and silver information packet. When you do that, you are helping to secure your financial future. And it's not, you don't have to spend thousands of dollars. You can just buy some silver too. It's a great way to invest in silver. And what are you doing? Securing our financial future on one hand, and on the other hand, where do you think that the working capital has come from to be able to invest in the For Liberty Network? We've got 2 new shows coming this fall, thanks to the investment of Preserve Gold. They're helping Daniela Pensack get her own show, and Brian P. Otter and King Libertarian have their own show. So help us to help you and to help grow the ideas of economic freedom and personal liberty by texting the word liberty to 50505. Again, text the word liberty to 50505, and we appreciate Preserve Gold very much. All right, well, let's hear that sad music play. Oh, I'm exhausted. These shows, man, they'll take a lot out of you. Did you enjoy it? Did you guys have fun? Did you click the like button? No? What's wrong with you? All right. Well, if you enjoyed the show, definitely come back tomorrow. Thursdays, Thirsty Thursdays. It'll be the first time that Daniela's on the show since we announced she's going to have her own show. So I'm sure you guys are going to be excited to hear from her, right? Then Friday, Freedom Family Friday. We've only got like 2 more Freedom Family Fridays until Steffi's going to kind of be indisposed for a little bit. So might want to make sure that you're here to see Steffi. Maybe this Friday for the last time. Who knows? Baby Hazel could come in the next 2 days. We don't know. If that's the case, then I'm definitely not going to be here next week. So we don't know. Baby Hazel could be born 2 days, 2 hours, 2 weeks from now. We'll see. But at an absolute minimum, we'll go in on the 1st of the morning. So there you go. What else have we got, guys? Anything else that we need to talk about before we go? Yada, yada, yada. I was tired the next morning. I think that's it. See you guys tomorrow on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network. Yeah. Last thing. Visit the For Liberty Network's merchandise shop as you leave. We call it the Grift Shop. ForLibertyShop.com. Visit the For Liberty Shop before you go, guys. Get yourself some sweet merch. All of the awesome new Trump stuff is going like crazy. So check it out at ForLibertyShop.com. Get yourself something real nice. And we'll see you tomorrow on the Wake Up America show on the For Liberty Network.
Wake Up America show looks at the history of presidential assassinations, both attempted and successful. 10 facts about Abraham Lincoln's assassination you may not have known. Welcome to our video on the riveting details surrounding Abraham Lincoln's assassination. It was on this very day in 1865 that President Lincoln was shot while enjoying a play at Ford's Theater. He succumbed to his injuries the following morning. Why wasn't General Ulysses S. Grant present in the theater box with Lincoln as initially planned? Where was the president's bodyguard at this crucial moment? How many people were involved in the plot to assassinate Lincoln? And how did the conspirators manage to escape, albeit temporarily? While many questions have found answers over the years, some mysteries still persist. One such unresolved debate revolves around one of the alleged conspirators and her true role in Lincoln's assassination. When it comes to General Grant, he was supposed to attend but chose to visit relatives in New Jersey with his wife, declining the invitation. This decision inadvertently altered the events of that fateful night. Lincoln almost didn't attend Ford's Theater either. He was hesitant, and the New York Times reported that he felt obliged to go only after General Grant canceled. Lincoln even tried to convince House Speaker Schuyler Colfax to accompany him, but Colfax had other plans. Had Colfax accepted the invitation, 2 potential successors to Lincoln would have been in peril that night. Vice President Andrew Johnson, who was also targeted, was spared only because his assailant lost his nerve and didn't attack. John Wilkes Booth had tasked George Atzerodt with killing Johnson, but Atzerodt couldn't go through with it. Despite having a loaded gun and a rented room above Johnson's at the Kirkwood House Hotel, he never carried out the act. Secretary of State William Seward narrowly escaped death despite being stabbed multiple times. An assassin named Lewis Powell attacked him at home, but a metal surgical collar Seward was wearing saved his life. Lincoln's bodyguard, John Parker, left his post to watch the play, and then went to a nearby saloon during intermission. Coincidentally, it was the same saloon where Booth was drinking. No one knows where Parker was during the assassination, but he wasn't guarding Lincoln. The Secret Service didn't exist in 1865. It was initially created later that year to combat counterfeiters and only became responsible for presidential protection after the assassination of President William McKinley in 1901. Booth managed to evade capture for 12 days after the assassination, fleeing with another conspirator, David Harold. They went to the Surratt Tavern in Maryland, sought medical help for Booth's broken leg, and continued through forests and swamps to Virginia. The original plan wasn't to kill Lincoln, but to kidnap him. Booth and his conspirators had planned a kidnapping on March 17, 1865, but Lincoln changed his plans last minute. After Lee's surrender, Booth decided to go for assassination instead. Mary Surratt's involvement in the conspiracy remains a contentious issue. She was a Southern sympathizer and owned a boarding house in Washington. She was close to Booth and allegedly instructed an innkeeper to prepare guns for visitors the night Lincoln was shot. On the day of the assassination, Surratt was with Booth, and the innkeeper's testimony led to her conviction and execution. The decision to hang Surratt, a woman, was controversial and was personally approved by President Andrew Johnson. These facts and unanswered questions keep the story of Lincoln's assassination alive in public memory, making it one of the most discussed and analyzed events in American history. Thank you for watching, and we hope you found these insights intriguing.
Expanse of time, a year might seem like a mere moment, but oh, what a year it's been. In September 2022, Austin and Stephanie Peterson embarked on a journey to wake up America. They began humbly, with just 20 souls tuning in, learning, listening, and though challenges arose, like the looming shadow of YouTube demonetization, their spirit never waned. And now, thanks to you, thousands rise with the sun to join them, to listen, to engage, to be a part of a community. So here's to you, and to wake up America, for memories shared, for friends made, for the journey ahead, and for never, ever forgetting to rise and freedom. Happy anniversary.
I'm Donald Trump, and I approve this message. Believe me, Austin Peterson is the best. He's got the greatest Wake Up America show I've ever seen. Whenever I tune in the mornings and watch the live stream, let me tell you, he has got the absolute best content. I love his guests. It's just a total blast to watch, and I highly endorse and recommend the Wake Up America show. It's terrific, believe me.
Is the outdoor your home about as exciting as a library? Then spice it up and unbore your space with our custom metal signs. Crafted with love and a bit of libertarian magic, you can customize your own metal sign at ap4libertyshop.com. So head to ap4libertyshop.com, customize your own metal sign today.
Welcome to a world of vocal discovery at Peterson Voice Studio. I'm Justin Peterson, here to guide your musical journey. Envision a place where your voice reaches new heights, where every note tells a story. We embrace all singers, from the enthusiastic shower vocalists to aspiring stars, ensuring each voice finds its unique rhythm and tone. Are you ready to elevate your voice? Visit petersonvoicestudio.com and sign up for remote lessons tailored just for you. Let's begin this melodious journey together.
Tired
Tired of spending your hard-earned money on woke corporations that don't share your pro-freedom values? Fed up with sipping liberal lattes and progressive cappuccinos? Introducing Founding Flavors from AP for Liberty Shop. Get your day started with Washington's Revolutionary Roast. As robust and principled as the man himself, this blend is the shot of energy heard round the world. Or maybe you want to taste the fervor of freedom with Adams's Patriotic Perk. It's as dynamic and balanced as the U.S. Constitution, sure to awaken your spirit of liberty. For the aficionados, we've got the Jeffersonian Java, a complex mix of flavors that speaks volumes about your refined tastes. And don't forget Betsy's Liberty Lullaby, our decaf option, crafted with the same care and dedication Betsy Ross put into our Star-Spangled Banner. This blend lets you enjoy the taste of freedom anytime without losing sleep. No woke beans here, folks. Just pure, patriotic, pro-freedom flavors brewed with love for liberty. So why compromise your principles for a cup of coffee? Stand up for your values, perk up your patriotism, and start your day the American way. Get your Founding Flavors at apforlibertyshop.com.